It's the biggest crisis of its kind in Europe since the aftermath of World War II. Europe's instability in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Many of the refugees come from Syria, where a civil war has been raging for more than 4 years. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government has been accused of using barrel bombs.
This footage was filmed by a tourist on a beach in Spain's famous Bay of Cadiz. A rubber dinghy packed with African migrants reaching the shore of Zahara de los Atunes.
The videos I've just shown are often portrayed from Muslims as migrants and refugees, especially stemming from the 2015 refugee crisis. And as we learned through one of the activities we did throughout this course, media often has a big role in how we perceive things, especially when it's outside of our culture. As such, before staying abroad, my conception of Muslims in Europe and Spain was the notion, or I associated with the notion of migrants and refugees. And this intrigued me a lot. And this is why I'm really doing this documentary. And the topic of interest is just due to the fact that I also share very similar backgrounds to the Muslim community. As a person with both parents immigrated from Mexico to the U.S., I, in a way, sympathize with these people. And I'm also aware of that. I have my own personal biases. I know that I will probably, in this documentary, talk favorable of Muslims. And it will be hard for me to keep a, objective point of view, just due to the fact that I also grew up in a similar setting. Growing up in the U.S., seeing how Mexicans are portrayed as illegal immigrants, as crime, oftentimes negative conceptions. I knew my cultural background would play a role on how I would report this documentary as well. Alright, but before we begin, it would be important to give you a bit. I studied in Andalusia, specifically Granada, and this is a southern region in Spain. It's known for its beautiful architecture, vibrant beaches, and I spent 4 months here. And throughout this whole time, I've learned a lot, and this is why I would really love to share this. First, we're going to begin with history of Spain. Now, I felt it was important to include the history of Islam in Spain because, as we've learned, especially for Activity 16, articulating our experiences to others, it's always important, not just as a global citizen, but really as a person, to understand every dynamic. And in order to really understand the modern dynamics of the Muslim community in Spain today, it's important to understand the historical context of the Islamic Empire and its legacy in Spain, specifically Andalusia, the region I studied in. Take for example the article we read, I think 2 weeks ago, Americans can be global citizens abroad. In that issue, Tanya goes to a foreign country, and she knows there's cultural differences, but she doesn't really understand the inner dynamics of it, the social, the economics, the political, the historical perspectives of it. And that is what gives her a difficult time on really integrating into that culture and understanding it. As such, for my documentary, I thought, I don't want this to just be a surface level analysis. I want the viewer, like you, to have a, historical background. So the Muslims first invaded the Iberian Peninsula in 711. Through the southern tip. It would take them around 7 years before they controlled most of the Iberian Peninsula. Only the northern half, such as Galicia, would never be under control. That being said, this brought a golden age period to the Islamic Empire, as the whole region would be known as Al-Andalusia, and it would have a huge influence. There would be a lot of advancements in medicine, literature, mathematics. Algebra would be invented. It would also have a huge impact on the Spanish language that can still be felt today. And also, they would really transcribe texts from the Roman times. This has resulted in Andalusia having huge Islamic influence, such as in architecture, the way the streets are constructed. Really, even the buildings, the houses, everything, streets, they have a lot of Arabic influence due to the Islamic Empire. As we see here, this is called the Puerta de Elvira. This was actually constructed in the 11th century, and it used to be part of a bigger wall. Now only this remains. And this was used to be the main entrance to Granada, back when the Islamic Empire ruled. This empire would last for 700 years. But after the Spanish Conquista in 1492, the Islamic Empire would be no more. Alright, so currently we are in Barrida de la Plaza, which is a neighborhood up further up north in Granada. We're currently on our way to interview Khalad as well. Local dog right here. Hey, go, choo-choos, choo-choos, choo-choos. Oh, so this is the market of Granada. Here you find clothing, fruits, a lot of it really interesting things. Show you around. Here you have carpets, very traditional of Islamic culture right there. And you can actually hear people talking Arabic. Again, this shows you the strong influence of the Islamic communities here in Granada. So one thing is I'm walking through this neighborhood, or this market, is just like the diversity I see, you know. I see a lot of Muslims, you know, women wearing hijabs. I also see Africans. I see people from Latin America. I see Spanish people. It really just shows you how diverse Barrida de la Paz is. And really, you really also find really interesting things here in general. Okay, pues bueno, un placer de verte aquí. Encantado, nice to meet you too, como dicen ahí en los Estados Unidos. Bueno, ¿cuál es tu nombre?
Mi nombre es Khaled Hilal.
Khaled Hilal, ok. ¿Y qué haces aquí en España? ¿Ya tienes un trabajo? ¿Estás...?
Es que soy refugiado sirio aquí en España.
Un refugiado, ok.
Entonces trabajo algunas veces, pero algunos no. Pero
Ahora no.
ahora mismo no tengo trabajo.
Ahora no, ok, bueno. Y tiene familia, ¿verdad?
Sí, claro.
Sí.
Tengo mi mujer y tres hijos.
Una mujer y 3 hijos. Ah,
Sí.
bueno. Y mencionó que era refugiado. Entonces, ¿de dónde originalmente era?
Mi país es Siria,
Siria,
y
ah.
mi ciudad Homs.
Homs.
Es la mitad, el centro de Siria casi.
Ah, bueno.
Y
Bueno. ¿Y por qué decidió emigrar de Siria a Europa?
es que la guerra,
Ah,
escapamos
sí.
de una guerra, entonces casi puede decirnos que estamos obligando a dejar nuestro país, claro, por
Sí.
el tema de la guerra.
Ah, no era porque...
Aunque
Ajá.
he perdido mi pierna en la guerra en una bomba de avión ruso,
Sí,
me han amputado la pierna allí en Siria.
sí.
Y una persona que faltaba pierna allí no puede seguir
No
con
puede-
vida.
Sí, me imagino. Entonces, esa fue la razón.
Esa
Fue
es
por la
razón,
guerra
por
civil.
claro, es que tiene dos elecciones.
Ujú.
Morir lentamente en Siria por la guerra o
Oh.
morir rápido en el Mediterráneo, hogar en el mar y ya está.
Wow.
Y yo y mi mujer fuimos la decisión que morimos en el mar.
Sí.
O Dios me salvó a
Sí.
venir aquí.
Sí, entonces, sí.
Revertir el país.
Sí, y luego, ¿y cómo fue ese viaje a Europa? A Siria, a Europa.
Es que el viaje no fue fácil porque mi mujer recién dar luz, que
Ajá.
tenía la primera niña,
Sí.
y yo recién amputar la pierna,
Ujú.
que recién operar, aunque me han operado un médico de veterinarios,
Sí.
entonces no fue fácil y tenemos que contratar un traficante
Sí.
con mucho dinero, mucho riesgo,
Ujú.
y tenemos que ir andando de mi ciudad Homs
Ujú.
hasta ciudades, hasta Alepo,
Ujú.
y después entrar a Turquía en una manera ilegalmente.
sí.
Entonces fue el viaje en este momento muchos meses y solo podemos andar por la noche.
Sí. En general, sí. ¿Y cómo dirás cómo está la comunidad islámica en Granada? ¿Cómo hay mucha ayuda, mucha...
Es que ayuda ayuda de, como puede decir, de ayuda de...
Como de lo que le ayudan a integrarse a la sociedad
sí,
española.
integración a la
Sí.
sociedad española, sí, muchísimo apoyo de
Mucho
los
apoyo,
hermanos,
sí,
de
mucho.
los hermanos musulmanes aquí, o hermanos no son musulmanes, españoles, que me
Sí.
ayudan mucho. Granada tiene como una belleza que no puedes encontrar otra
Sí.
ciudad como Granada de verdad. La
Sí.
gente muy maravillosa y te cogen como unos de ellos o unos de su familia. Y integrar no fue muy difícil aquí a la Universidad Española.
Sí, me
Muy
imagino.
fácil.
¿Y usted diría que hay discriminación en España? Es like en Granada, lo que he visto contra no más los musulmanes, pero los africanos o gente que no es española. ¿O es complicado? No
es que puedo decir 0%.
Sí.
Los temas de la racista aquí en Granada,
No existe.
muy difícil encontrar una persona racista.
Racista, ¿verdad?
Porque si yo no pronuncio el árabe en la calle, nadie va a
Nadie te
sepa
dice.
que soy
Sí.
árabe o sirio.
All right, so after conducting that interview, it also made me realize the special position I have and even privilege as a student studying abroad in Granada. Most of my time I've spent is in Zaidín or in El Centro of Granada. And Zaidín tends to be a wealthier neighborhood than Barra del Paz, which tends to have more lower income families and individuals. Not only that, but I feel like the school, Segri, which I studied in, also sheltered me. As a matter of fact, that was actually the first time I was ever in the north. And Ogden an article we read, would really argue that this is kind of a form of post-colonialism as a student studying abroad. The fact that most of my time, therefore most of the money I would spend, was in Zaidín and El Centro, meant that I was supporting those businesses. I was supporting the local economy of Zaidín and El Centro. But I never once stepped inside Barra del Paz or anywhere in the northern neighborhoods, which meant that my economic surplus that I bring as a student studying abroad never really reached the businesses in the north. It was really, in a way, I guess, as I was contributing to that wealth gap between northern Granada, which again tends to be poorer, than southern Granada, which tends to have higher income individuals. Okay, so we're outside the Fundación Fuero Árabe de Altos Estudios, which is a center, kind of like an educational center for Muslims, but not only Muslims, minorities in general, who need help getting the necessary skills to succeed in today's workforce. We're gonna go inside. Ooh, oh, let's see how it goes. Hola. ¿Qué es este edificio? ¿Qué hacen aquí?
Nosotros somos la Fundación Euroárabe y tenemos distintas áreas. Por ejemplo, tenemos un área donde trabajamos en proyectos europeos de distintas temáticas. Tenemos desde protección de lugares de culto a proyectos enfocados en la radicalización y también otros relacionados con las migraciones y los delitos de odio. Luego también tenemos otras ramas más culturales, donde se hacen eventos, se hacen exposiciones, se presentan libros, seminarios, e incluso muchas veces acogemos a gente de otros países porque tenemos convenios con distintas organizaciones, universidades. Y
comparada al resto de Europa, especialmente a Francia y Alemania, ¿cómo es la relación entre el público general de España y los musulmanes?
De inicio, creo que estamos en un momento muy difícil en cualquier la sociedad europea, la occidental en general también. Podemos coger Estados Unidos también, por ejemplo, en el que yo creo que debido a una crisis de identidad política, la ideología de extrema derecha, la ideología xenófobas se han expandido mucho y en algunos casos, no Francia sí tiene sus esos potentes, pero no llega a entrar en el gobierno. En Alemania ha habido casi, bueno, en Francia y en Alemania concretamente ha habido grupos de extrema derecha que han planeado atentados en el sentido de golpe de Estado y para derribar el gobierno y no lo han conseguido. Se ha desarticulado antes de que se organizase. Pero sí es cierto que el clima general es un ascenso de esas polarizaciones de la sociedad y de esos discursos xenófobos. Entonces eso también afecta a España y es cierto que porque se hace mucho ruido y que han incrementado tanto los delitos de odio como muchas veces los ataques físicos hacia las comunidades musulmanas, porque son una minoría dentro de España. Pero es cierto que yo creo que en el día a día, en la convivencia, la mayoría de gente que convive con gente musulmana, no hay problema.
No hay, sí, me imagino, sí.
El problema es el desconocimiento, creo yo, principalmente. Es donde cala, porque si tú vas a muchos sitios donde no hay comunidad musulmana en España, siempre vas a ser como un otro. O sea, estos grupos crean un otro distinto, están aquí, nos están invadiendo, nos están robando nuestra cultura. Y si tú no convives con ellos y no ves que no es una realidad, quizá esa lejanía
Well, we just got done interviewing the one of the directors, I think, for the program, and that was very insightful. Right now, after this, we're gonna go to Casa Cuna, so stay tuned. Right, we are in Casa Cuna, which is like a thrift shop, specifically made for minorities, in this case, Muslims. As you can tell, this is their like mission statement, objectives, all of that. So let's go inside. A lot of these proceeds go back to helping out the Muslim community, actually. All right. So the whole point of me including the interviews with the Euro-Arabic Foundation and also checking out the Kuna thrift shop that donates most of its proceeds back to refugee communities is to really show an unreported side that the news media often tends to ignore. They often more focus on the refugee crisis itself, crossing the Mediterranean Sea. Not only that, throughout this whole semester, since I also took an Islamic class, I've learned a lot more about the Islamic community, its practices, the 5 pillars of Islam, and just overall the interactions and how Muslims are perceived in Europe. And overall, I've been more also conscious of my impact, not only within Spain, but really the world as a global citizen. And I feel that studying abroad has been an amazing experience. I've learned a lot. I felt like I've grown. I've definitely grown less American-centric, which Americans tend to have a bad reputation here in Europe. We have a very self-centric view. So yeah, I'm very happy I took the chance to study abroad. And yeah, this has been my journey. Thank you for watching my video.